You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. It's so nice to have you here. This is our fourth show today, and this is one of my favorites. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. I'm your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. And this show is not about being interviewed, so I have very little role to play except for the production, broadcasting, directing piece of it. It is all about presentations from people I have hand-selected because they are experts in their field. And there is so much to learn. Please grab a paper and a pen and get ready to be educated, entertained, and delighted. Joining us today, my two expert presenters, Stephen Gillen, welcome, and Mike Boissonneault, welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, Jack. Hi, everyone. How are you? Hi, Mike.
Hi. So great to see you guys. So, Stephen, you're joining us from London, correct?
Yes, London, Jack.
Yes. And Mike, you're in Connecticut, in the States?
Still in Connecticut.
Well, listen, I'm hoping to get over to London. I don't know about you, but I'm making that happen next year. So it's going to be a great trip. Well, thank you so much for being here, gentlemen. I'm going to get right to it. I would like to just let our audience know each of you will have 15 minutes or so to present. And you'll present on a topic that's near and dear to you, something that you have expertise in. And Stephen has offered to go first. But before we start that, Stephen, I'm going to just spotlight you. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about you and what we can expect to hear today?
Hi, everyone. Let me first say it's a pleasure to be back on A Better You with the wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. And you're doing a wonderful job, Jack. I'm Stephen Gillen, as I said. I'm a global entrepreneur. I've had a very colorful journey. I'm a best-selling author. My life story is, as we speak, in pre-production, being made into a Hollywood movie. But I'm also a life and business mastery coach, who really work with high-level people and people who are really trying to get over that adversity and elevate their lives quickly to where they want to be.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I just happen to have a copy of your book here. Sorry, I just have to promote it, The Monkey Puzzle Tree, which I am reading. And as Stephen mentioned, it's becoming a Hollywood film. It's very well written. Okay, and also with us is another dynamo with his own book. Mike, tell us about you and what we can expect for today.
Well, I spent the last 40 years in media, and part of that, most of that, about 36 years, was with ESPN. And I have a passion for business. I have a passion for setting business up, organizing it, training, getting people, and advancing people, growing managers and leaders. So I wrote a book called Workforce Soft Skills and Leadership, HR Insight for Managers. And it's about workforce management and advocacy. It really is about how to train managers to be better managers and to grow into leadership roles. And today I will be taking us through lesson 7 of 8. And today we're going to talk about the business advocate role, or in other terms, you might call it the HR business partner role. Many businesses don't have an HR division, so therefore leaders and managers learn the HR role on the job. So that's what we'll be talking about today, and I look forward to that. Thanks, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, Stephen, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go, yeah. And just quickly, what I'm going to talk about today is time versus money, just to get that one in there. It's a real big one. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, time versus money. The stage is yours. I'm taking Mike and I backstage. And
Hi guys. I'm Stephen Gillen, as I just introduced myself, and I want to give you as much value today as possible. And what we're going to talk about today is time versus money. It may not seem a lot, but people who are really in the heart of business, or people who've been along their journey, will know that understanding this concept is really the difference in many cases between success and failure of a target, of a goal, of a project, of getting your stuff over the line. One of the reasons for that is, and what not a lot of people really deeply understand in their fiber, is that time is our most precious commodity. It's not money. It's not people. It's, although all these things are wonderful and very needed to populate our life, it's actually time. It is going to run out. We don't get to get it back, and we don't know how much we have of it. Now, I want you to just think about that for a minute. Now, if you think about all the errors we've made in our personal life or business, for instance, or, we've all got lost along the way, guys, somewhere. I mean, people who know my story, for instance, they know that, for many years, I went to prison for many years. I transformed my life. I've gone on to do wonderful things, develop as a human being, even be nominated for an International Peace Prize. But I lost many, many years, guys. This is the truth. Now, when I finally understood how precious them years was, them errors was, and that time was for me, it absolutely changed everything. It was an unbelievable, expeditious learning that elevated every part of my life. And I'll tell you why. Because I suddenly realized them three fundamentals, what I told you. We don't get to get this time back. It is going to run out, and we don't know how much of it we have. When I really understood that deeply, then I started to really look at my life, at people, places, and things in the right way, in a pragmatic way, as in cost and need. What was my choices, be it giving my time away to the wrong people in the wrong way at the right time? What was that costing me? As in, what was the result that I would get off that? I mean, in a sense, you have to be kind of selfish, but selfish for the right reasons. My focus then, for me, after wasting so much time, even having to learn to get where I was at that moment, dictated to me that I had to get my act together, really. If I was going to look after my family, if I was going to be the success that I wanted to be, if I was going to achieve the things I wanted to learn and the things that I wanted for me and my children, my legacy, then I needed to understand time really, really well. Then you start looking at what are you actually doing with your time? Because another thing about time is it's the same for all of us. We all have the same amount. Now, there are lots of easy ones we can translate in business, for instance. If your competitor, he has the same time as you. If he gets up at 7 in the morning and he makes 10 sales calls, then, that's very easy. You maybe get up at 4, you take another 2 hours to do more work, and you do 20 sales calls. Things like this will make a difference. You will make inroads on your competitors, and the tide, just in simple adjustments like that, will start to switch back in your favor. This is just one really simple example of how to use time. Now, what I see in business, because what we basically do, guys, is we build national and global brands. I mean, really from startup all the way up. Some of the CEOs I work with, they're at 200 million going into IPO. I only say that so you know the real scope of experience here all the way through. And what we see a lot of people do is they don't know how to use their time properly. We're going to get how to use your time properly and how to help you program yourself so you're more prolific and you'll be more progressive, more focused, more abundant with what you do and winning and achieving your goals and your targets and getting stuff over the line. But what people don't understand about this energy of time is always make time work for you. You know, I mean, you see many CEOs, many people, certainly me for many years, it's a bit different now, but they get up early in the morning. Their best time might be from 3:30 in the morning, going through to 8, 9 o'clock is when their best hours, then quiet hours of where they get the work done of 4 or 5 people. People have different clocks. If this works for you, this is your golden time, you use that. It's always going to get you ahead. What I've always learned as well with time is it's strategic. Use it strategically. Use it to your advantage. I always use time in the way that I'll always get ahead in whatever I'm doing, because I know that life can bring things in, or things can come up, or life just happens. So where I'm always in front with stuff, if something comes in, a problem or something that takes time or throws my equilibrium, I know that I still have time, you know, to solve that problem, adjust, get back on the track and keep going with momentum and still be ahead. Or it gives me that time to pull back. What I see a lot of people in business do, guys, is they don't understand this concept. They don't respect it in the right way. What happens to them is they're firefighting all the time. You know, they're always trying to catch up. They're always trying to fight fires. They're always falling behind. Now, we all know what that can be like. And if you don't understand time correctly, more often than not, you will find yourself in this place. And of course, when you're in a place like that, then you need more momentum, more time, more energy to even get back level pegging. So it's not about that. It's always about being ahead with time. You know, I mean, I have a way of always now building a life where I work, but I do the things that are important with balance with my family and even my health, a bit of gym or food or whatever I do in the same way, because less is more. And when you start to really understand time, even in sometimes you will realize that the slower you go, sometimes the faster you get there. Now, these are real pearls of wisdom, and you know, they're really wrought and earned over a lot of painful learning over a lot of years. But you know, I've also seen a lot of business owners who fall foul of these fundamentals. Now, we all want time back with our families. Another one that I see is people get stuck with the business. They're wonderful people. They work really hard. They've got great ideas. They're great at solving problems, great product, service, whatever. You know, but what happens is they start so much heavy lifting with the business that they're working for the business. But when you understand these elements of time, it's about creating a business and working shrewder with time so that business works for you and you don't actually work for that, for the business. See? This is what millionaires do. You know, I know many of them, and we build many £1 million, $1 million companies. And one of the real tricks of that is getting the systems right in a way in one industry where it can be repeatable, the same formulas, maybe tweaked or turned around a little bit in other industries. So this is where you populate different brands and you can pivot into different industries and get different streams of income really, really quickly. But this is about understanding systems, but it's certainly about, you won't be able to forge them properly unless you really know how to work with time and make time work for you. Now, some tips about time. Okay, time's really important. We know that, and you know, we lose it and we squander it, but really it's about knowing how to make that work for us. Okay, how do we do that? What are some examples? One of my rituals is I'll always make lists. I'll always make lists. If anywhere I can put a list or a system in our business, we will do it straight away. Because the truth is that once you get the systems of a business and your life, how your life is structured and your lifestyle and the people in your life needs to reflect into your business. If you have a really untidy life and you don't have your life in some kind of healthy order, this will certainly reflect into your business. This is just a fact. So all of these things are very, very important. And they are the keys to success, guys. They really are. You know, success and failure are wrapped up with these fundamentals. You have to choose. How serious are you to win? How disciplined are you? How much learning and other learning do you need to actually get to where you want? How much are you prepared to give, really, you know? And of course, this all comes back to time again. So lists. So, you know, I do lists, you know, and I'll go down and I'll do lists. Now, I'm in many industries. I have many businesses, and I'll have many different hats or roles I have to play, really, literally. But I love what I do. I've built it. I love the variety. We've become very, very good at what we do, very, very seamless. But one of the things that has helped me wear so many hats in so many ways and be really good at it is, you know, one of the things is people talk about motivation. Yes, you know, I understand motivation, but for me, it's not motivation. It's just giving the best and being the best in no matter what you're doing at any time. And this is using time forward as well. So, you know, I'll always do my list, guys. And what I'll always find with my lists, and I'll put quite a lot on there, there may be 10 things on there, and I'll put urgent and I'll put important. There's a big difference in what's urgent right now and needs to be dealt with and what is important. It's really important to clarify this stuff, because confusion and non-clarity in a business or your life is an absolute killer for the successful who really want to elevate and pioneer forward quickly. So it's about systems, it's about clarity, it's about lists, it's about understanding your time. And then guess what? You start to get more time back. And this enables you to have more energy to focus better. So, you know, I would make my list, guys, and you're guaranteed I will always finish that list and have extra time. Always. I'll do that very easily. I'll do it very well. The main things I have to do, you know, and I'll still have other time. Now, there are many other tricks. Sometimes we get tired. Sometimes we're having an extra stressful day, I hear you say, or it's a bit much, whatever. You have to train yourself. But look, another way to doing it is say to yourself, if you've got important tasks that are very incumbent important, rather than take on too much, which is a mistake, say to yourself, okay, I've got 2 or 3 targeted things that must be completed today. Say, okay, I'm going to give myself an hour and a half complete focus on each of these tasks. That means no phones, no distraction, no nothing. You even time yourself, guys, and you give yourself, it's like a power hour, I call it. This really focuses the mind. It takes the pressure off, and you really get stuff done when you do this. You'll be surprised. And then after that, have an hour's rest. Have an hour's rest, an hour and a half rest or whatever, bit of food, whatever, and then come back and do the same. Have another power hour, hour and a half, power 2 hours. You can get the work of many people done like this, even when you're having, you know, a bad day. Another thing that we've learned, you know, and we swear by, you know, we really do in our work, where we have maybe, you know, a lot of different projects spinning, and they're all important. Conscientious, you know, they all need really detailed conscientiousness. It's always in the detail. And we're very focused on results driven and winning on all of these projects. So what we do is we do what's called a board. Again, it's like a system, but it's a strategy session. And, you know, we'll do it. Sometimes we'll do it daily if there's big projects, or we'll do it once every 2 days. We'll definitely do it every week. And then we do monthly boards as well. This is to plot out our trajectory, look at all our clients, where they are in their development, who needs what, what's important to who. So we're always ahead with absolutely everything. This is a time where we let innovation come in. And it's about listening. We let everyone get up there, very skilled people in many different disciplines, and they come and they do their bit. You know, we have something that's called the pen as well. When they have the pen, no one else speaks, because it's about listening. So the floor is theirs, and they get to add their bit, and everyone adds their bit. And through this, we not only get a really good picture and look at everything from different angles, but it actually releases a lot of the burden in your head, and we have a clear record of it, and we can come back and we can add things. Again, this is compartmentalizing things in a very ordered way that helps us to elevate and expedite things. But what this really amounts to all the time, people, as I'm saying, is it reverts back to time management. You know, it reverts back to time management and being able to really concentrate on a task and focus on getting things done. Because, you know, people ask me many things. Are you doing that? You do so much stuff. But what I always say is what I'm doing is completing tasks. It's about completing tasks. You know, it really is. Getting things done are about completing tasks. It's even, some people have said to me before, you know, I'll say this because it's worth saying again, you will find everything comes back to knowing how to use time. It's a fundamental, it's the governance of all things, how to use time. So, you know, people would say, you know, okay, define success. You know, another way I would say to them is, look, you know, it's not one decision. It's not 100 decisions. It's not 1,000 decisions. It's literally thousands and thousands of decisions, sometimes every minute, every hour, many every day over a long period of time. And this is really what success is. Always being pragmatic and looking at the board at what is the right thing to do in a strategic way to move forward for everyone at that time, but be able to pivot and be flexible. And this is all to do with the use of time. You know, another thing I'd say about time, and this is important because many people get a conflict with this as well, internal conflicts and these internal conflicts, they block. Again, it's about clarity. It's about having the answers. So people say, okay, the past, you know, I mean, I have a past. We all have a past. You know, there's a lot of falling down there, a lot of adversity, a lot of stuff in our past there, you know, because we're constantly improving that maybe we're glad we leave behind. So, but how important really is the past to us? It's not important at all, is really the concise answer. Yes, it's important with some of the good things we've done and our memories that we have there, but the past is only about learning. All we really have, of course, is the moment. And it is absolutely about what we're doing now and in this moment and where we are now, but more even importantly, where we are going in the future. Now, when time versus money, you know, it's really, really easy because if you want more, be more. It's as simple as that. Money translates, you know, into value, into you using time to educate yourself, to get skilled at what you do, to become valuable. So you do more, so you are more. So you be more and you give more. This is, you know, I mean, you know, if you think, you know, we all have to work our way through. The people at the top, you know, they've started at the bottom. They've solved the problem strategically and cleverly to meteorically move up, right? Expeditiously. But what is the difference between someone who, you know, bless them, maybe stuck in a dead-end job, who's getting, I don't know, $100 an hour, with someone really further down the line, he may be getting, and it's very true, $100 a minute. What's the difference? You see, the difference is many things to do with time, but it's to do with value and it's to do with skills. So you need to understand that when it comes to time and money, that you need to use time to make yourself more valuable. I'll give you an example. I mean, are you going to moan if you're a company that's stuck on a cap of, and I get this a lot, you know, they're just under the million mark. We just can't seem to do it. We can't get over that ridge because these caps are like valleys. And the trick is you can't see into the next valley as you're traversing up. It's a very common problem. So, with this cap, right? You know, with this cap, how do we get over that? Right, you know, the answer usually comes back into a lot of programming, but you know, it also goes into time as well, you know, and it's time management. It's usually using a lot of things of the past, and then so letting go of the dead wood, letting go of the heavy lifting, looking at the time management and looking where things are hemorrhaging, but certainly being able to use time more. Because are you going to moan if you're a business that's taking $500,000 annually? Are you going to moan at paying someone who's going to turn that $500,000 annually business into a 10 million a year annual business? Are you going to moan at paying them $750,000? Of course you're not. It's chicken feed, because they're worth that because of the value that they're giving. But look, guys, I hope this helps. I've just put some examples in there. I come across this stuff all the time. I've tried to superimpose it with different ways, going up and, how you can use this. But what I would definitely say to you is think about your time, what you actually want in your life, and you need to plan your time and know how precious it is. I'll leave you with one last thing that I always keep close to me. It's from a friend of mine. He's a billionaire. He's into mining and all this stuff. He's unbelievable, busy guy. He's not old. He's quite a young guy. But he said to me once, he's got one of these bits of learning. He said to me once, Stephen, look around you at all the people around you, and I want you to ask yourself, are all the people around you in your life at the moment, are they people that you would want with you at the very end? And if they're not, he said to me, maybe you might want to have a look at that. So I'll just leave you with that. I wish you a wonderful day. I hope there's been some value in there for you. And it's wonderful to be here on the Being a Better You, and I'm doing my bit to try and help you expedite and improve your own journey of success.
So many great tips, time versus money. And being that I've been able to have some calls with you and Daphne, I've learned so much. And I look at my own time, and just a couple of segues. So we only have time. You said that, and you lost a lot of time, but a lot of us waste time all the time, but we can't quantify it. We can't put it all together and add up, oh, I spent 2 years wasting time on this, that, or the other. And then we meet somebody who has a perspective that we don't have, and they can see how to get over that ridge, how to get over that cap. And
Massive.
it's really enlightening. So to everybody out there, you can't do it by yourself. Why would you want to do it by yourself? There are experts out there to take you to the next level. So I think that was a great presentation. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Jack. My pleasure. Thank you.
Mike, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I have, in my book, in my my lessons here, I talk to new managers, first and second tier managers. And one of the things that I stress to those is that time is a demon of a new manager. Time is the demon, because time seems to run faster with new responsibilities, because it seems to be avalanche. So getting a hold of time and regulating your time, checklist is a wonderful topic, because I think it's very important to have some organization behind what you're doing, so basically you can tell where you are. And in fact, in my lesson today, I'm going to talk about the calendar, and the calendar to me is the checklist of time. So I just thought it was a great segue to what's coming up with the new managers. Time is a very, very important thing for managers in business to understand, because ultimately what you spend in time in business, you lose in personal, and what you spend in personal, you lose in business. So it's that balance of time.
And Stephen, I really liked what you said about taking an hour and a half, 2 hours, and being totally focused, removing all distractions, and then taking a nap, and then going back to work. I really like that, because then you don't have all that constant building pressure. You can relieve and then come back.
It's very important, because just the way things are and the way things come in, especially in a busy place of work with a lot of challenges. It's sometimes our mind leans us in when we're used to leaning in, and really we should strategically come out and really target and focus like that. And it's definitely easier. It's definitely better for our health And I guarantee you'll definitely have a lot more enjoyable experience, and you'll get so much more done like that on them tough days like that, where it's a bit much.
Yes, I definitely agree, and I'm very excited to be working with you. So I'll be getting some of my time back, that's for sure. So thank you again for being here. We really appreciate it. And we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with Mike's presentation. Sound good, everyone?
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jacalyn. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. And here to tell us more is the creator of A Better You, Al Sini. Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. It's always a pleasure working with you and everyone out there. You know, you might be a coach working with individuals professionally or personally, or you might be a consultant working with businesses, or you might be a trusted advisor specializing in an area like finance, let's say, or the law or healthcare. Whatever of those roles you relate to, you all have one thing in common, and that is you're working every day to help people become better versions of themselves, a better you. And Dr. Jacalyn's A Better You program is an opportunity for you to express your expertise in a particular area for 15 minutes in front of an audience of people who are looking for help from people like you.
Yep.
So, Dr. Jacalyn, maybe you can tell everybody how they can learn more about this.
It's so easy. You go to abetteryou.tv and you sign up to book your session.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You. Lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. That's always the opposite way. Mike, I'm going to spotlight you, bring your presentation on, and then you have the stage.
Thanks. I look forward to it. And thank you once again, Dr. Jacalyn, for the opportunity for me to talk about my lessons. These are designed to give business managers a general understanding and working foundation of the many disciplines that encompass business managing and the HR role. It is not meant to be an HR certification course. Instead, it is HR insight for managers, as my book denotes. The content is contemporary and it's fluid. And I will at times refer to human resources simply as advocacy. It's a term I recommend based on a very positive vibe, advocate, and the fact that human resources supports both human and business resources, not just HR anymore. And now the Society of HR Management, SHRM, is also using the term advocacy. These lessons are meant to help business managers, often first or second tier managers, with an inside look at the HR practice and tips for learning and applying some of them into their routines. This will make a manager stronger. Why? Because America has an endless number of small companies and major corporations. It will focus both on business and on people. For example, the life cycle of an employee. Think of life cycle of a product. Well, how about the life cycle of an employee? It starts at candidate and it runs through retiree. It's a significant roadmap. Remember, without rules and organization, businesses fail and economies suffer. So I'll talk about some of the theoretical practice and offer some endorsement of the best practice in the HR role. So we agree that HR blends both business management and people management. It's very important that new managers understand some of the soft skills of people managing that can produce good results and grow leaders. Additionally, knowing how and where a business fits into the marketplace of any given company or industry will also strengthen a manager's business acumen. I also anticipate that our participants here will be both business managers and new HR practitioners. It's good for each side to understand and embrace each other's specialty areas. So I'll try to correlate the HR discipline with the manager's role wherever I can. So let's begin. This is lesson 7 of 8, business advocacy. In the simplest terms, every business needs an advocate. An advocate will be the support for all things to run smoothly, a dispatcher, a traffic coordinator, a calendar creator, an advisor, all rolled into one. In many cases, a business owner or manager may not have the luxury of retaining an HR advocate or an HR business partner, and therefore will incorporate these roles under their own hat. So let's explore some of the basic traits. Business generally runs on a cyclical calendar. Finance, accounting, quarterly reports, purchasing, holidays, they all contribute to the forecasting and reviewing of business. Long-range planning takes annual increments of time. Planning for a business can be put into a calendar format no matter when the fiscal or performance or sales years start and finish, because everything will divide by 12 months. So know your business calendar, know your annual events. A business advocate, most would be presumably known as an HR business partner or a generalist, who are assigned to a specific division, are there to help to navigate the business carousel. They help to guide a business and a management through the calendar and the crossover events. Planning for these events will incorporate a great deal of project managing. For example, an advocate in retail. Let's take an annual holiday sale as an example. It starts months ahead of the holiday. Surveying, marketing, purchasing, pricing, scheduling, shipping, receiving, stocking, rehearsing. These are all phases of business ahead of the actual sale. They all take place before the event. Add to this list planning for resources, posting jobs, seasonal hiring, onboarding, training, performance, managing, and you start to get an idea of how the annual business calendar of events is critically important to your success. A manager or a business owner who also owns these HR responsibilities may find some shortcuts with respect to the calendar, depending on the type of company or business. Knowing all of the varied roles and responsibility available to be a good advocate, the leader or manager can make decisions to outsource, offload, or delegate parts of the calendar to either trusted staff or vendors to help fill in the gaps. It's important to know what's going well as what's missing in the role. Think of it as being a consultant of all things. An advocate is a consultant of all things business-wise. They can prompt the business leaders throughout the year, keeping them abreast of timelines. A good and trusted advisor is hard to come by and a valuable resource for any business manager, leader, or owner. The business advocate is their trusted advisor. The advisor consults on any number of business decisions and products, making sure the business leaders remember to consider all factors, data, and information available when making decisions, whether they relate to people or to process. This centralized role helps to widen the vision and mitigate risk when it's properly accepted and integrated into your business planning. If the advocate is a separate team member or an HR professional, it requires ongoing communication and trust, so all parties understand, respect, and allow each other to contribute, conflict when necessary, and solve issues. If the business leader also serves as their own advocate, it's imperative to have the training and experience required to make thorough and accurate decisions and consider all of the available information. So the benefit of having a business advocate or a partner from HR is to engage employees at all levels. They should be seen as supporters and quite often as the voice of reason. Many employees surface ideas or workflow recommendations, for example, and a good advocate can help them to understand cost, discuss the necessary resources, or even the prohibitive aspects of any idea. They help set realistic expectation. A key aspect of the advocate role is to be approachable and direct with feedback. The advocate is your consultant. The greatest contribution a business advocate shares is information. Communicating at all levels is important. We've talked about communication throughout these lessons. The advocate should know the differences in the volume, the cadence, and discretion of any information that will be shared with either the management or the workforce. Therefore, it's important to regulate the information flow whenever the role of advocate is assigned. Understand the flow of information. Measure the dialogue. You measure it usually to protect or preserve discretionary information. A successful business will share enough information to all of the workforce, including the management and senior leaders, to have the right information to deal internally or externally on business or even social communication. The more experienced one becomes in leading, managing, or otherwise advocating on behalf of the business, the tighter the control of information and conversation. Leaders are often the ones most quoted. Think about that. Leaders are often the ones most quoted. People will hear and receive messages differently from their peers and other members of the workforce. So it's very important to state and restate policy change, company information. State it, restate it. A good rule of thumb is to also send out follow-up information in written form to reinforce and maybe break through any barriers to the original communication. Remember, the more you diversify your workforce, usually to reflect your customer base, the more you need to consider the many types of culture and comprehension of how you announce things, how you implement change. This is also part of your leader emotional intelligence. We covered that in earlier lessons. Sharing information is important. There are many factors to consider beforehand. Who will listen to you and who will actually absorb the message, whether it's written or spoken? How will you react to positive and how will you react to negative response? These are typically a couple of scenarios you should consider. At the very least, be sure before sharing information on a large scale, like to an entire workforce. No matter the nature of the message, there will always be differences of opinion and individual points of view based on the reception of the message. You should be prepared to deliver information in a way that will mitigate the most controversial responses and be able to deal with the typical individual ones professionally and timely. Example, this is an example of a workforce announcement that could have a polarizing reception. Here's our example. Corporation. It's June and the corporation decides it can allow an additional week of paid vacation to the workforce if they could take it by the end of the year. Now it's already June and they're offering this free vacation, paid vacation, if you could take it by the end of the year. On the surface, it seems like a huge positive perk. Now, to some employees, this will feel great. An extra week off, welcome news. To other employees, this is negative. They had to plan their annual vacation with their travel costs, which are already booked, alternate weeks due to the rotation of selecting vacation and coverage at the workplace. Now that more time is being allotted, they can't afford to do both. They can't go back and replace what they've already settled in on. And it seems to them like a lost perk. Still, to the managers who might be announcing or at least fielding the questions and scheduling about this, it could be a nightmare. They are still responsible for the same productivity. They already have scheduled the staff vacations, the workarounds to cover them. Now they must squeeze in all that extra time. And now they can't make the schedules work without adding overtime and exhausting the staff. What seemed like a great announcement is turning into somewhat of a nightmare. So the staff may hear about new vacations from the corporate announcement, and the senior leaders are all happy, shaking hands and patting themselves on the back. However, within that workplace, the staff are being asked to work additional time to compensate for the schedules, and managers are frustrated with tangled assignments. As a manager, always think of the complexity of the communication you're about to dispense. It's also important to note that advocating for a business will not always be on behalf of positive news. So it could be critically important information at times, but always be factual, accurate, and defensible. The business advocate must be adept at speaking, writing, listening in a professional style. Policy changes are often the context of a business or corporate communication to the workforce. A policy change. Okay. All policies may have interpretation, and often disparate groups will hear different and receive different information, receive it differently. Individuals will read or listen carefully and draw first impressions. Being prepared for such eventuality will make the business of communication and the business of advocating for it more effective. Always know there will be more than one point of view that comes back to you. So business has a variety of organizational design, as we've talked in previous lessons. Some businesses have unions, which represent a collection of similar employees and all workforce, and workforce policies through a union are discussed, negotiated, and legally agreed upon. There's a specific duration of time that it covers. So both sides, management and workforce, union, will frequently revisit these official agreements to ensure compliance and trust. Still, another business where employees are at will and without separate representation, they may have more direct access to management and leadership, whereby sometimes they can influence a policy change. We'll take a couple of examples of that type and that style of business regarding communication. So let's look at two types of communication. One of them is called cascading. Cascading information deals with information going downhill from an owner or a senior leader, or even HR. Typically, the information that gets reinforced at each management level on the way down to the workforce. It's an incredibly effective tool if it's done correctly. If a corporate or senior communication is coming out and needs quick dissemination and or acceptance, this is how we do it. There are good methods of reinforcement on the way down. Managers in various levels sign off, they endorse on behalf of the company. The workforce knows, therefore, this is not a disconnected team at the top trying to force a change or add a new policy without the management endorsement. Whether you agree or disagree, you should endorse on behalf of the leadership or ownership of the company to the workforce. Therefore, it seems more connected. An example would be a policy change that may require some of the workforce to alter their schedules or personally change something to enact a new policy. While this may seem to be somewhat benign, there will be some in the workforce who feel like they didn't have a voice in this new change and think the senior leadership is out of touch. To mitigate that reaction, which is very common, senior leaders can preempt the announcement with a memo to their middle or line managers who can send down or cascade the information to the workforce. Get the workforce endorsement. Ask anyone with questions to see them directly. Support their right to communicate. Ask for their input. That sends a message to the workforce that they're important enough to consider ahead of a general announcement, and also that their own managers had their voice throughout the process. A good way of extending communication, offering open dialogue. In contrast, the workforce may have opportunities to send ideas or recommendations up to their senior leadership. That flow of information is important to manage, and if it's done well, can help great communication in a bidirectional way. This is known as escalating communication. It's important for the workforce to know they can send thoughts and responses to their managers or senior leaders in a professional manner, without consequence. The escalation of ideas is best as a conduit, often as a filter. The business advocate can help the workforce understand the best practice of sending information up to these levels and how to expedite. If the workforce understands these best practices, they can decide how to approach it to suit their needs. It's a good way of training them because those lines of managers will filter the information enough so that it makes sense to the senior leaders, and it also helps to get little wins versus no wins. Some of the communication that needs to be filtered and appropriately managed will deal with workforce and succession planning. Quite simply, workforce planning deals with moving pieces, and at times either adding or deleting resources. These are generally human resources involved. Your workforce may include machines as well as people. Some people are replaced by machines, robots, systems, components. Succession planning often deals with those in the organization who are the up-and-coming stars. They are being pointed out, touted by senior leaders for future opportunities based on their current performance and responsibilities. These are very discretionary exercises and important to the business and bottom line. Remember those that you are putting into succession planning. Make sure that they are buying in and you are selecting the right ones who aren't just going to bolt to another company for another opportunity, and you're placing your planning and your succession planning and new training on the right resources. Any misinterpretation could be detrimental, especially when the public is informed through new media or other means. So make sure you've got the right people at the right time for the right purpose. Succession planning also includes options for outsourcing, centralizing, or replacing humans with machines or other systems. Make sure you understand fully what the big picture is, because you as a manager may have to answer questions. Consolidating staff and operations is another consideration for succession planning, which is really when succession planning works with organizational design, that is the best collaboration. So as a business advocate, often as an HR professional, these should be trained and experienced in filtering communication. So if you're taking that role on, that soft skill on as a manager, you should be experienced in filtering communication, steering the flow, and offering a well thought out plan. The communication of corporate initiatives is important to manage appropriately. Also, the actual practice of workforce planning is very imperative to execute correctly. The advocate role should both be a supporter and a devil's advocate at the same time. Look at both sides, measure both, weigh both before you make a decision. They should point out process and industry standards. They should look at current state, future practice before making final decisions. They should help to put the right experts on projects that require planning, implementation, change management, execution, and sustainment. They help to make the recommendation of the right resources for the right projects. These are all terms that all good projects will go through. So the advocate role should help to find the right expertise, bring in case studies, allow for discussion, deliberation, and resolution. That's good work for a business advocate. And the business advocate is a conduit for all types of workflow, including project and change management, business calendar and compliance management, performance management, workforce, succession planning, and more. They typically work between the business unit and the governing body, whether it's a senior leader or an HR division. They should be able to interpret each side and communicate effectively. If this is your role as a manager, understand that you will be always on both sides of the fence. They should be able to interpret each side and advocate for both. As a leader, the advocate supports and endorses the development of business, workforce, workplace, and future leaders. They help to analyze projects, business objectives, to offer recommendations for best practice, legal compliance, and overall scope. Each module, as you know, each one of these lessons ends with a support center slide. It's a high-level reference outline for you to start researching and diving deeper into your role. So once again, the glossary, if you are a business leader with or a business manager with business advocate responsibility or an HR practitioner, you should stay on top of the latest terms. Your glossary is important to know. The periodicals, where is your news of your business discussed, debated, promoted? Industry consultants, who do you follow? Who do you interact with? Who helps to advance your skill and your acumen? Your references, where is your playbook? Where are your training tools? Your trade organizations, it's important to know who's setting standards for your industry. Where do you go to stay connected? Continuing support, who do you rely on for mentoring, guiding, and motivation? And of course, here in the business advocacy, there's lots of great groups out there, great HR groups, great consulting groups. As you can see, these slides will be available in the repository as well for you to take out, but it's very good to start. These would be a great place to start and continue on your own. So thank you very much for your time and listening to the Workforce Management Advocacy lesson number 7 on the business advocate. And as a leader in the role, as a business manager, it's great to know how you can weigh both sides of your workforce and your leadership and come to great conclusions. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much. That was excellent. I took a lot of notes. Unfortunately, my next show begins in 7 minutes. So I have to say goodbye. Yes, I have to say goodbye for now. But Mike, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? I know you just showed your slide, but just again.
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm right up the slide there. You can see my name. It's a hard to spell name, but Mike Boissonneault on LinkedIn or mike.boissonneault at rewirementmedia.com. I'd be happy to hear from you. Let me know where you found me, where you picked up. I'd be happy to continue the conversation. Thanks again, Dr. Jacalyn. I've had a pleasure today.
Thank you. It's always great seeing you. I'm sorry that we ran out of time because I always love to chat with you about your lessons. But we will be right back. We have a show starting In the Name of Love. Mother and father are sharing the story of their daughter, Natalie, who's been going through a real struggle. And we want to try to support her and support them. So I hope you'll tune in. Again, it's right here, same station, in 5 minutes. Bye, everyone. Bye, Mike.
Bye now.